Saving money is a commitment, and that's why I like to set myself up with ways of doing things throughout my life that just make it easier to earn a few extra dollars and spend less money. And that way I have money when I need it without feeling the crunch of it being too difficult. So in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the ways I've made some extra dollars this month and some of the ways that I am saving money as well. I hope you will stick around. Hi, I'm Bonita and I am early retired. I'm not old enough yet for Social Security. I'm living on a low income and I am living off of savings. I live in Kansas on a farm and I have a donkey. I have frugal videos all year round and I hope that you will join me this year as we share ways to save money and live our dreams. Those of you that have followed me for a while may hear some purring in the background, and that's because Fluff has to be here on my lap when I'm working. He's the cat that has gone with me in my RV the past 2 winters and stayed in Texas. So some of you are familiar with the cat who loves to camp. So I want to start off with a few of the ways that I've brought in a few extra dollars. All of us could use some extra dollars. And sometimes some things aren't that hard to bring some extra dollars in, but when we need them, it's like, what can we do? What can we do? So I like to share these with you because I just make some of these part of my routine, and I know that they are available to me and there's something that I don't forget about. There are also things that I put on my income opportunity list. I've shared this with you before. I keep a list of every opportunity I have to bring in extra dollars every month, and I track that. Because I am not working a 9 to 5, and because I do a lot of rebates and couponing and other little odds and ends to bring in extra dollars, I track all of that because that helps me have extra money for savings or things that I need. So this month, I was able to take in some recycled cans that I had to the recycling place. Recycled cans right now are up to 46 cents a pound here in Kansas. That is the best I have ever seen. I have seen them as low as 18 cents a pound. This is something I have always done. It's something that my mother also did. She recycled cans, and we would walk and pick up cans just to recycle them. And I did that with my kids as well when they were at home. And I did that even after they moved out. I would take my wagon, take some bags, go down in the ditches, pick up the cans. And then when I got enough to take them in, I would take them in and get them recycled. So 46 cents a pound, that's pretty darn good. And it adds up fairly quickly. So if you have a place that you can take them in and get reimbursement for that, that is a great way to bring in some extra dollars. I know some of you live in states where you can recycle plastics and recycle bottles for reimbursement. When my daughter lived in Oregon, she was able to cash in on some of those things. But Kansas is not one of the states where we can do that. So check into your recycling availability for cash where you live, and you can start taking advantage of that idea for some extra cash if it's something that you think would work with your schedule. The next thing is I shared with you how I got an envelope in the mail with $2 in it, and then it had a survey it wanted you to fill out, and it gave you a $25 gift card, which we used. Now I got this huge packet in the mail of another survey it wants us to fill out. This one comes with a $75 Amazon gift card. These things just come random in the mail. So looking at that junk mail again can give you some extra dollars if you can work some of that into your schedule. A lot of this is just sent to random households, and you might be just one of the households where it shows up in your mailbox. The next thing is filling out surveys, which we're talking about surveys already, right? So our local Dillon's Kroger family has a 50-point survey at the bottom of the receipt. I shared with you that I fill those out. I can get 50 points, which is basically 50 cents. And I fill those out once a week. You can only do once a week. I have it on my calendar to fill it out every single Friday. And when I do it twice, I can get $1 off of my next purchase. That may not sound like much, but it adds up. And so I do that. And even if I have a few stacked up here, I just do them every single week on Friday to make sure that I get the points, because if I do them more often, I don't get the points, and I want to take that money off of my grocery bill. So yeah, these little surveys, they seem like they're time consuming, but if they don't require you to purchase something else, like if you go out to a restaurant, sometimes there's those little uh, surveys at the bottom, and it'll say $3 off your next $40 purchase if you use it in 30 days. Well, that's requiring me to go back within 30 days and spend $40 to get $3. I don't do those. I do ones like these that are going to give me money off of my grocery purchase, because we all have to get groceries anyway. It's not going to expire. I can use it when I need it. So I use things like that strategically to save money off of my normal purchases. And I am always looking for ways to stack deals. I have talked about this in a lot of videos, but just an example, CVS Pharmacy will send me electronic coupons by email, and they send me a lot that say like 40% off a purchase or $2 off a $2 purchase. I activate those, and if I am in town during that time, I make sure I stop by CVS and I pick out a product that I need around the house. And then I always check my Ibotta app under CVS, because sometimes I can get that 40% off, and Ibotta, that rebate, will also give me an additional 2% off if I activate it, or if I've shopped at CVS 3 times in the next month, I'll get maybe a $5 cash back on Ibotta. Someone asked me the other day what Ibotta is. Ibotta is a rebate app, and I have them linked in my description box below with a code that you can use that will give you a bonus and me a bonus if you sign up. But check for those bonuses, because CVS gives great coupons if you live somewhere where you have a Walgreens or a CVS. Some of those pharmacy stores have some really great deals, and then you can cash in on their coupons besides and get a bonus on the Ibotta app besides. And then I use my cashback credit card. So 40% coupon, 2% Ibotta, 1.5% on my Capital One credit card. And look at that, I've already saved 43.5% off of whatever I just picked up. So I always stack those deals. And just a side note to those CVS coupons, the $2 off of a $2 purchase, it can be something on clearance. Usually the 40% off coupon has to be something that is regular price. So you have to be strategic. You have to know your numbers when you go in there so that your percentage off will give you a better deal than if you caught it somewhere on sale. So that's how I use that. And I have found that if you use those CVS coupons, you get another one in your email like the next week. So that bonus that you can get like 3 purchases and $5 off on Ibotta, like in a month, you can get the 3 coupons for each one of those purchases. What a deal, right? So this last month, since my income has been lower on YouTube, I have been trying to do more mystery shopping. And I told you that I mainly do restaurants. I also do a grocery store. And so I've done extras of those to bring in some extra cash. The grocery store ones have been really beneficial because I can get some free groceries and get paid for shopping for things that I already needed. The restaurant ones have also been beneficial because they give you such large portions. I get paid for being there, I get reimbursed for the food, and it feeds me for sometimes 3 or 4 more meals. So those are some of the things that I kick in high and do a little bit more of them if my schedule allows, to try to make up money when my finances are low. So these are just some ideas of things that I do. Let me know if you have some things that you do around your house to save some money or make some extra money when things are tight. I also have some money tucked away in a 91-day CD at our local bank, and right now it's earning 4.08% interest. That is a pretty good interest rate for only 91 days, and that way I can determine every 91 days if I want to roll it back out, if I want to roll out the interest and continue the CD and see what the interest rate is for the next 91 days. It doesn't tie up my money for very long, but it earns me some extra passive income. And that's really important when I'm living on a low income, is to be able to make that money work for me, but also have it accessible if I need it. So you usually have to have a minimum of $10,000 to open a CD, but I've talked to some of my friends, and even some of my friends' children are doing this now to earn some extra passive income for themselves. It is a very secure way to do that, and it's something I feel comfortable with. I know my money is local and easily accessible, and that is something that I've been doing now for the last couple of years, is looking at the CD rates and rolling it over to earn some extra cash. One of my goals was always to be able to pay my bills in full when I got the bill in the mail. But I have had to break that rule on one of them because it actually costs me more to do that. And that is on my property taxes. I keep my money in an interest bearing savings account. And when my property taxes come due, half are due in May and half are due in December. Or you can pay the whole thing at once, which is what I had been doing when I was working, because my goal was to not have any debt whatsoever. But then I started thinking strategically once I quit having an income coming in. And I started thinking, if I leave half of that in there, I don't get penalized for that. It can draw interest in my savings account, and then I can just remember to pay the other half when it's due, and I'll earn a few extra dollars. So that's what I've started doing. I'm back to breaking up my property taxes in halves during the year so I can draw interest on the other half. The next one is a tip that I use to keep our cooling costs less in the summertime. It's been extremely hot in Kansas. It's been very humid this summer. And a lot of you also live in areas that are very hot and very humid. But did you know that leaving your air conditioning unit running all the time is actually more costly than shutting it off when you don't need it? I know there has been people saying for years that it's more costly to shut it off and turn it on. But actually, leaving your air conditioner on all the time generally is more expensive than adjusting the thermostat or turning it off when you don't need the cooling. While some argue it's more efficient to maintain a constant temperature, the reality is that running the AC at full blast when you don't need it wastes energy and increase costs. We have window AC units here, and window AC units can run you anywhere from $50 to upwards to $400 or more if you need to replace them. They run about 300 to 700 watts to use them. A central heat and air unit can run anywhere from $2,000 up, and it uses 1,000 to 3,500 watts to run that central heat and air unit. So the cost increases and your life of the item may actually decrease the more that you use it, and you may have to replace it. And people don't always think about that when they think about the cost of just leaving it run or adjusting the thermostat. But since we have window AC units, and since I'm home almost all of the time, I don't want to run up my electric bill. Our costs stay low, and that helps me so much with having a low income that I try to stay on top of that to make sure that my electric bill stays around $70 year round. So, what we did a couple of years back is I looked into buying a dehumidifier. So, on those days that it's super humid and you know that humidity is making it feel warmer than it actually is, I close everything up in the house. I turn on that humidifier and it immediately starts feeling cooler, like you turned on the air conditioner, but I didn't. And a lot of people have asked me about this. Yes, there's a little bit of heat that comes out of it, but you wouldn't notice that unless you have that pointing at you with that heat coming out right there. I sit mine in the kitchen. It takes care of the kitchen and this office area that I'm in, and it immediately starts feeling cooler. And within about 30 minutes to an hour, I can shut it off, and the house is a decent temperature and a decent humidity. So, humidifiers use less energy to cool an entire room. An air conditioner dehumidifies and cools. A dehumidifier just dehumidifies, but it gives you the feeling of it cooling the room by lowering that humidity. The one that I bought is a fairly decent sized unit and it was refurbished. I think I paid maybe about $169 for this, and we don't run it a lot. But when we do, I'm so thankful I have it because I don't have to turn on the AC. It was really hot yesterday. It was really humid. And my husband had the day off and he was home. He works in air conditioning all the time. So sometimes he's more susceptible to it feeling hot than I am. I have a thyroid issue. I get cold easy. I have problems with my feet and my legs never warming up. So I don't notice it like he does, but I turned on that dehumidifier and he said that feels like the air conditioner got turned on. That was a great purchase for us. So it's something to think about when you're trying to cool your home. Would that take the place on some of those days rather than turning on your AC unit? This showed 77% humidity when I first turned it on, and it is already down to 49% humidity. That is the difference that it makes in your home. And I'll leave a link in the description box. Those are some of the things that I've done to make money and save money over these last few weeks. I hope they maybe spark an idea for you to help you around your household, or maybe you can give me some more ideas that I haven't thought of to help me around my household. Thanks for listening today, and I hope to see you in the next video.